At a critical moment of resisting Japanese aggression and defending the nation, Mao Zedong declared, "We Chinese have the spirit to fight the enemy to the last drop of our blood, the determination to recover our lost territory by our own efforts, and the ability to stand our own feet in the family of nations." Lu Xun, in his article, "Have the Chinese Lost Confidence?" said that since ancient times in China, there have been people who bury themselves in work, people who toil to the bone, people who plead for the public interest, people who sacrifice themselves for justice. They are the backbone of China. In the article, "The Three Kinds Spirit of Academia," Lu Xun also wrote that it is only the spirit of the people which is precious, and only when this spirit is carried forward will China make a real progress. What kind of nation is China? What kind of people are the Chinese? What has kept this ancient and mysterious nation standing rock firm in the family of nations and flourishing generation after generation? How is it that Chinese civilization has such a long history, yet still seems youthful and brimming with vitality? We must seek answers from China's 5,000 plus years of history, its voluminous classic works, and its more than 9.6 million square kilometers of terrain. What we find is that there's a uniqueness to China that has helped the nation rise up again and again after every disaster. That uniqueness is the great Chinese spirit. To realize the Chinese dream, we must foster the Chinese spirit. It is the national spirit with patriotism at its core, and it is the spirit of the times with reform and innovation at its core. The Chinese people must foster the great national spirit, follow the call of the times, strengthen their inner bonds of unity and perseverance, and enthusiastically march toward the future. The Chinese dream reveals the values of the Chinese nation and its people. It is about finishing building a moderately prosperous society in all respects and achieving the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. It is about ensuring that every person has the opportunity to realize their own dreams. And it is about China's commitment to make a greater contribution to the peace and development of mankind. The Chinese dream is also the common ground for the united struggle of the Chinese nation. China boasts a history of 5,000 years and a territory spanning 40,000 kilometers. The Peking man rubbing wood to make a fire, Shendong testing 100 varieties of herbs, Empress Yao and Shun abdicating the emperorship, the enlightened administration of Han Dynasty Emperors Wen and Jing, the good governance during the Zhenguan era in the Tang Dynasty,
the prosperous era under Qing Emperors Kangxi and Qianlong, the ambitious reform movement of 1898, the upright response to the encroachment of Western powers, the fierce fight against the Japanese aggression in World War II, the bloody battle for the founding of a new China, and the bold process of reform and opening up. Every awe-inspiring event in China's history embodies the great Chinese spirit.
We may look at the historical background and the cultural foundation of the Chinese spirit from two perspectives. One is origin, by which I mean our experience and our civil life. And the other is development, by which I mean the inheritance of China's cultural traditions passed down to us, and the faith people have fostered in the process of reform, opening up, and modernization. These two combine to form the powerful spirit we see today. Over a period of more than 5,000 years, Chinese civilization has developed a unique and profound culture. This culture embraces the Chinese nation's deepest intellectual pursuits. It is an icon of the Chinese nation and has ensured the lineage, development, and growth of the Chinese nation. Taiwan scholar Bai Yan wrote in his book, History of the Chinese, that China is like a giant cube which might tumble about in an overwhelming tide, but yet sits stubbornly after the tide retreats, facing the world from still another side. It never disappears or sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Charles Darwin also wrote that Chinese civilization could serve as a paradigm for other nations. It is precisely this aspect of China that is at the very core of the Chinese spirit. This spirit embodies the energy needed for making the country prosperous and strong. The Chinese spirit represents the spiritual realm of the Chinese nation. It encompasses the common ideals, beliefs, and the values of the nation. It has always given the Chinese people a sense of belonging. It offers them shared values to hold on to and provides strong intellectual support for the Chinese nation. Both exceptional and ordinary people possess and follow the Chinese spirit. The ancient Chinese said we should have the political aspiration of being the first to worry about the world's troubles and the last to enjoy its pleasures, the patriotic feelings of not daring to ignore the country's peril, no matter how humble one's position is, and doing everything possible to save the country in its peril without regard to personal fortune or misfortune. The uprightness of never being corrupted by riches and honors, never departing from principle despite poverty or humble origin, and never submitting to force or threat, and the selfless dedication to die with a loyal heart shining in the pages of history and give one's all till one's heart ceases to beat. All these sayings reflect the outstanding traditional culture and the spirit of the Chinese nation. What is Chinese spirit? What are China's cultural traditions? I think China's fine traditions are built on 12 beliefs. The term built on is a good expression to describe China's fine traditions. Unremitting self-improvement, laws derived from nature, harmony between man and nature, vigilance in times of peace, honesty and integrity, social commitment, a people-centered approach, benevolence, respect for teachers, harmony without uniformity, the embracing of change, and global unity. Patriotism is what bonds the Chinese nation together. Ever since ancient times, the key elements of patriotism have presented themselves in such beliefs as everyone shares the responsibility for the fate of their country, save the nation and love the mother country, return to and serve the mother country, and many others. The word patriotism appeared early in Strategies of the States, which was compiled during the pre-Qing period. And the saying, "Love your country like your family," can be seen in the historical records of the Western Han Dynasty, compiled by Xunyue of the Eastern Han Dynasty. Such views about the nation, history, and the culture constitute an inexhaustible source of patriotism. This spirit was shared by national figures such as Qu Yuan, Yue Fei, Xin Qiji, and Wen Tianxiang, as well as Zheng Chenggong, Shi Lang, Lin Zexu, and Deng Shichang, who have been and will continue to be remembered for their patriotic deeds. Ever since its establishment, the Communist Party of China has undertaken the historical mission of fighting for national independence and the people's liberation, ensuring the strength and the prosperity of the country and the well-being of the people. It overthrew imperialism, feudalism, and bureaucrat capitalism, unified the country, and promoted the unity between the Chinese people, which in turn paved the way for a national rejuvenation of the nation. This is the fullest expression of patriotism. The Chinese nation has created a unique homeland on an intellectual level. Whenever difficulties or setbacks are encountered, this homeland lends to people the wisdom and strength to overcome such hardships. The story of Shun farming in Lishan, told in the records of the historian, extols the virtues of a hard-working Chinese sage who eventually became emperor. The story of Yu the Great praises the dedication of a man committed to stopping the flooding, despite his yearning to return home. The story of the foolish old man moving soil every day tells us of perseverance that can move mountains. The spirit of Nan Yuan, the spirit of Zhang Side, the spirit of Da Qing, the spirit of Lei Feng, the spirit of Zhao Yulu, the spirit of making scientific progress, the spirit of the Red Flag Canal, the spirit of achieving manned space flights, and so on. All these things epitomize the Chinese spirit. As Mao Zedong noted, the Chinese nation has always been a great, brave, and industrious nation. Xi Jinping has stressed repeatedly that empty talk harms the country, while hard work makes it flourish. Achieving the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation is a difficult but glorious historical mission. It will require the dedicated efforts of the Chinese people and the continuation of the Chinese spirit generation after generation. In the end, however, the reform of China lies with the people. There are 23 notebooks on the bookshelf of agricultural breeder Shen Changjian. They are the original records of experiments conducted by 2 generations of his family to create hybrid rape plants. The title page of the oldest notebook reads, Shen Kequan, Fall of 1978. Shen Kequan was Shen Changjian's father. In 1978, Shen Kequan was a beekeeper in Guizhou. One day in July, 3 wild rape plants growing on the roadside captured his attention. Usually, rape plants in Hunan province became ripe and were harvested in May. But even in July, these 3 wild ones were still sturdy and blossoming. Shen Kequan became very excited and immediately took them back to his hometown to study. Shen Kequan started to grow a beard on the first day of his research and vowed not to shave until he succeeded. You know, I'm a farmer, a black-legged man working the fields. To actually do research, that was like a dream to me. With no specialized equipment or instruments, Shen Kequan and his son could only observe the plants over time and carefully record the results of their experiments. After over 1,000 failures, Shen Kequan's black stubble had grown into a long white beard. But he eventually succeeded in cultivating the rapeseed Guiye A, which is low in erucic acid and thioglycosides. To the surprise of experts, Shen Kequan's experiments had not only yielded the hard-to-find restorer line of Guiye A, but also the complementary infertility and maintainer lines. That a farmer had obtained such results was simply stunning. In 2004, Shen Kequan and his son were granted a patent for their new combination of the infertility line of Guiye A rapeseed. On December 8, 2009, as 70-year-old Shen Kequan was coming to the end of his life, he called his family to his bedside, saying, "I don't have much time remaining. Do not give up on our experiments. Carry them on, and you will succeed." After his father passed away, Shen Changjian continued the rapeseed breeding. Today, his Shenyouza 202 and A19 have entered the original trial stages. In February 2014, the father and son together were awarded the title of 2013 Inspiring Person of China. Shen Changjian and his family have set a great example of exploring science in everyday life. They never gave up in times of hardship and sought to reach new heights with a down-to-earth attitude. Eventually, they created a miracle. Gazing across history, great philosophers and sages of old understood what they saw in lands and families. Hard work and thrift begets success, whereas luxury begets decay and failure. They drew this lesson from the vast tapestry of history. Now, this lesson has been passed on as a profound warning. In his work, Advice to My Son, Zhuge Liang wrote, "A man of virtue cultivates his moral character in peace and frugality. His aspirations cannot be clear if he tries to seek fame and wealth, nor can he reach distant destinations if he is not tranquil at heart." Throughout Chinese history, thrift and diligence have been considered traditional virtues and were thus advocated, maintained, and promoted. During the second plenary session of the 18th Central Commission for Discipline Inspection of the Communist Party of China, Xi Jinping commented,